Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everyone. I'm sitting in $1 million mosque. With the money they throw into these things, I tell you, I think it was about $2.5 to $3 million. So, what's the purpose of all this? Like, are people really genuinely spreading the right Islam now, or are they involved or covering up one of the largest criminal enterprises on the planet? And I'm not accusing all Muslims of doing this, but I am not a fool. And a lot of the other Muslims are not fools, and they understand what's going on. So I'm gonna try to put together some information for you to understand. So, where does all the money come from? What are they doing with it, and why? So, Infosys is a military contractor company. Now, you might have forgotten the news stories a couple times that have happened about Infosys employees being involved in terrorism, killing their wives, murders on campus. Infosys is in the center of one of the major syndicate operations, and they have data control centers that are working with all of these subcontractor military groups and weapons research facilities, genetic testing facilities, blood testing facilities. All of these things are operating together, and it's a mess. It's so bad that people need to go back in history and learn about where terrorism started, what was the whole purpose. And basically it's always been about paganism and rituals and people in high seats of power, the Freemasons and all these other groups. I mean, I'm sitting in this mosque and it's literally like a $3 million building. And that's what society's putting their money into these facilities like this, instead of protecting society so that people don't starve to death. So all of these things are just a big circle of oh, let's celebrate, and everything's gonna be okay. And yeah, you think the terrorists don't get money? Are you kidding me? They feed their families with that stuff. So part of the terrorism is run through Infosys and through these groups, these major corporations, who pay them to basically sell drugs and to finance more terrorism. And that's what this is all about. And all of these Muslims who are becoming radicalized, and some of them, they don't even know it, because they're just I didn't even know what my position in this whole thing was, is that they were just using as a relay system. I don't know how it works, but it's really like a carrier messenger system or something like that. I don't know how they do it, or if people are even aware of it, but it's obviously real, because the Infosys employees are murdering people and they're creating terrorist acts. I think Infosys was they fired some guy and then he went berserk and killed a bunch of people, but he didn't just kill them, he blew up a bus or something. And then there was murders on campus where women were shoved down an elevator shaft or something like this. There's a bunch of crazy murder stories in India that are, even the families, they got harassed and they weren't able to look into it, because Infosys is one of the main military headquarters like the beast system of terrorism, and it's like complete blackmail, extortion. Like the families involved in the Infosys murders, their victims, families tried to contact Infosys and like start investigations and court cases and all that, and they were threatened, blackmailed, and all this kind of stuff. So like these people are like the dirt scum of the planet. And like it's kind of funny because I was reading about stories like, like these shadowy government like office buildings inside the banks and stuff, and they're like on the 13th floor, and like they have private access, like you can't go in there. Like some of the places you need security code cards just to access the 13th floor. And it's so funny because the guy who owns Infosys says that the 13th floor is like a curse, and he doesn't build it on campus. And then you will find Infosys is located on the 13th floor in many bank buildings. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. They're like on some other kind of level of murder, and who knows what they're doing. They're really fucked up. Like, excuse my language stuff a lot, but I mean the radicalization, like people think that Muslims are going out and just doing this stuff randomly. That's probably part of the problem society needs to understand, is like even the Muslims themselves, some of them know about it, some of them don't, some of them are blackmailed, some of them are not. That's why when people say in the media you have to be scared of like radicalization and all that, well, the government's the one who does it. Operation Gladio, NATO organizations of like anti-communist terrorism cells that were trained inside the country with weapons caches, military explosive devices, all of this stuff were trained by the government and of NATO, military NATO shadow. They called them shadow, what was it, stay behinds. They called them stay behind shadow, basically shadow soldiers, like people who are not aware that they are soldiers, and the government just will use you to protect itself. It's I don't want my life to be like totally ruined and stuff, but I don't want to be like subjected to some government sort of like I'm supposed to protect my government because they're holier than thou. I don't think so. Like the government, consent, like people are getting murdered here. It's not like people get consent to join or not join in something like that when groups and corporations are deciding like war games, and like people really do die. I mean, like in Thailand, like this thing in Thailand recently, there was a bombing and there was like 20 people killed or something. Unless they're just like hoaxing everything and just make it look fake, but like a Hollywood movie, but I don't think so. I think people really do die. So the bombing in Bangkok was organized by the Grey Wolves Mafia, which are selling drugs, and they tried to kill the Pope before, and they are funded by NATO. They are stay behind operations for Turkey. And yeah, the breadcrumb trails for terrorism link together. So prior to 9/11, Amdocs and Infosys were working together. Amdocs was actually the pre-NSA leaks. They were recording everybody's voicemail, message machines. They were able to scan emails, all that stuff. They at least had the phone records for every hotline, every major telephone network corporate telephone line. And you can imagine what people can do with corporate telephone line data. You can do insider trading, you can do tons of stuff, illegal activity, you can do blackmail, you can do like big corporate moves, like to outbid other people, to know certain data, to raise your bids, whatever. Like this information is really powerful. People think it's not, but information is the most powerful commodity. And Amdocs and Infosys, they were like working together, and they knew about 9/11, and they had even told the White House and the National Security about 9/11 before it happened. And even the footage that was on the news, and I put it on my YouTube video, is that these people, like, they notified the government and they just totally ignored it, like Mossad. And I've met people, and they're like involved in this stuff. Like, I know lots of people who are involved in this stuff, and I can't do anything about it because they don't even really know that they're involved in it, and they already are like brainwashed to the point where they don't even realize that they were like ever going to be involved with it. They thought it was just like, it's a separate group of things and all that stuff. No, it's like all connected. There's just like tons of weird stuff going on. People don't even know. They got Captagon drugs for ISIS. This drug is like make you a serial killer. It like literally turns people into cannibals. They eat people. Like a soldier ripping out somebody's heart and chewing it. Like, the government has been doing stuff that is not legal at all, like super soldier projects and all this stuff, and it's not good. Like, all I can say is, if you want proof, you want to know about what terrorism is all about, FOIA your government. FOIA, Freedom of Information. Or FAIO, I forget, was it Freedom Agreement Information? Or no, Freedom of Information Association or something, or agreement. Anyway, this FOIA is like really important because it's just like the government thinks they can hide all this stuff, like the underground bases all over the world that cost trillions of dollars, and God knows what they're doing down there. And I can tell you from the reports of what I've heard, it's really beyond what you ever could wildly imagine is even okay in your sanest mind. Like, I've heard that they make just like genetic hybrid creatures and torture testing and all this crazy shit, like chimera people, genetic hybrids, all this stuff. I've heard they're doing so much stuff, it's just unbelievable. It's like X-Men stuff, like something that's really not legal at all. It's not legal, but they claim it's like to save you from someone else or something. I don't know. Some of it maybe is like okay to prepare, and some of it is not okay. It's hard to say, but it's really bad. So there you go. Like, all of it is run by the people who will come and try to say that they protect you, like Haiti suffering from United Nations, like embargoes of medicine and all this stuff, so they can just like see how desperate people are suffering and all. Yeah, it's just a sad planet full of sad terroristic activity created by the government and corporations so that they can live forever and that you're their slave. So they go drive around in their $1 million cars and their $1 million houses and all that stuff with their $1 million bank accounts. Some of these people got like a garage full of like brand new Porsches in every color, like Jerry Seinfeld. This reality is so messed up, you don't even understand. And people just live like this is okay. I don't understand, you know? What, is everybody crazy? Salam alaikum.